Hey everyone, we are back with the Raisin in the Sun, and where we are right now is a saw guy just left. We met him. He's one of the people who seems interested in Benita. And I think, well, we'll see. I think we're going to meet her other suitor in this section. We'll find out though. Mama, after him. Lord, that's a pretty thing that just went out here. Insinuatingly to her daughter. Yes. I guess I see why we done commenced to get so interested in Africa around here. Missionaries my Aunt Jenny. Okay, so done commenced to get so interested means have gotten so interested. And like she understands now why Benita is so interested in Africa because the saw guy is really attractive. And then missionaries my Aunt Jenny. Yeah, you were interested in Africa because of a saw guy, not because of missionaries. Yeah, I don't know if that's a turn of phrase that you've heard sometimes. I've heard stuff like that too. Yeah, like missionaries my aunt. Just to say, like, kind of sarcastically, like, that is not why you want to go to Africa. Benita. Oh, Mama. She picks up the Nigerian dress and holds it up to her in front of the mirror again. She sets the headdress on haphazardly and then notices her hair again and clutches at it and then replaces the headdress and frowns at herself. Then she starts to wriggle in front of the mirror as she thinks a Nigerian woman might. Travis enters and stands regarding her. So Travis comes in and stares at her and is like, "What are you doing?" And then the headdress haphazardly, so it's kind of like it's off the side of your head. So it's not on right. Travis, what's the matter, girl? You cracking up? And that means are you crazy? Benita, shut up. She pulls the headdress off and looks at herself in the mirror and clutches at her hair again and squinches her eyes as if trying to imagine something. Then suddenly she gets her raincoat and kerchief and hurriedly prepares for going out. Mama, coming back into the room. She's resting now, Travis. Baby, run next door and ask Miss Johnson to please let me have a little kitchen cleanser. This here can is empty as Jacob's kettle. Travis, I just came in. Mama, do as you're told. He exits and she looks at her daughter. Where are you going? Benita, halting at the door. To become a queen of the Nile. To become an important African woman, I guess is what she's saying. She exits in a breathless blaze of glory. Ruth appears in the bedroom doorway. Mama, who told you to get up? Ruth, ain't nothing wrong with me to be lying in no bed for. Where did Benny go? Mama, drumming her fingers. Far as I could make out, to Egypt. Ruth just looks at her. What time is getting to? Ruth, 10:20, and the mailman going to ring that bell this morning just like he done every morning for the last umpteen years. Travis comes in with a cleanser can. Travis, she say to tell you that she don't have much. Mama, angrily, Lord, some people I could name sure is tight-fisted. Meaning cheap. Directing her grandson. Mark 2 cans of cleanser down on the list there. If she that hard up for kitchen cleanser, I sure don't want to forget to get her none. That's a little passive aggressive. Like, all right, I'm just going to buy you some because you don't have any. Which usually would be a nice gesture, but in this case, I feel like it might be a little passive aggressive. Ruth. Lena, maybe the woman is just short on cleanser. Mama, not listening. Much baking powder as she done borrowed from me all these years, she could have done gone into the baking business. The bell sounds suddenly and sharply, and all three are stunned, serious, and silent, mid-speech. In spite of all the other conversations and distractions of the morning, this is what they have been waiting for. Even Travis, who looks helplessly for his mother to his grandmother. Ruth is the first to come to life again. Ruth, to Travis, get down them steps, boy. Travis snaps to life and flies out to get the mail, so he leaves real quickly. He wants to get that mail bad. Mama, her eyes wide, with her hand to her breast. You mean it done really come? Ruth, excited. Oh, Miss Lena. Mama, collecting herself. Well, I don't know what we all so excited about round here for. We known it was coming for months. Ruth, That's a whole lot different from having it come and being able to hold it in your hands, a piece of paper worth $10,000. Travis bursts back into the room. He holds the envelope high above his head like a little dancer. His face is radiant and he is breathless. He moves to his grandmother with sudden, slow ceremony and puts the envelope into her hands. She accepts it and then merely holds it and looks at it. Come on, open it. Lord have mercy, I wish Walter Lee was here. Travis, open it, Grandma. Mama, staring at it. Now you all be quiet. It's just a check. Ruth, open it. Mama, still staring at it. No, now don't act silly. We ain't never been no people to act silly about no money. Your mama has a very different view on money than the others do. Ruth, swiftly. We ain't never had none before. Open it. Mama finally makes a good strong tear and pulls out the thin blue slice of paper and inspects it closely. The boy, his mother study it rapidly over Mama's shoulders. Mama, Travis. She is counting off with doubt. Is that the right number of zeros? Travis. Yes'm. $10,000. Golly, Grandma, you rich. Mama. She holds the check away from her, still looking at it. Slowly her face sobers into a mask of unhappiness. $10,000. Dollars. She hands it to Ruth. Put it away somewhere, Ruth. She does not look at Ruth. Her eyes seem to be seeing something somewhere very far off. $10,000 they give you. $10,000. Travis, to his mother sincerely. What's the matter, Grandmama? Don't she want to be rich? Ruth, distractedly. You go on out and play now, baby. Travis exits. Mama starts wiping dishes absently, humming intently to herself. Ruth turns to her with kind of exasperation. You've gone and got yourself upset. Mama, not looking at her. I spec if it wasn't for you all, I would just put the money away or give it to the church or something. Ruth, now what kind of talk is that? Mr. Younger would just be plain mad if he could hear you talking foolish like that. Mama, stopping and staring off. Yes, he sure would. Sighing. We got enough to do with that money, all right. She halts then and turns and looks at her daughter-in-law hard. Ruth avoids her eyes and Mama wipes her hands with finality and starts to speak firmly to Ruth. Where did you go today, girl? To the doctor. Mama, impatiently. Now, Ruth, you know better than that. Old Dr. Jones is strange enough in his way, but there ain't nothing about him to make someone slip and call him she like you done this morning. Ruth, well, that's what happened. My tongue slipped. Mama, you went to see that woman, didn't you? Ruth, defensively giving herself away. What woman you talking about? I'm curious what you think they're talking about right now, 'cause I have an idea. Mama, angrily, that woman who... Walter enters in great excitement. Walter, did it come? Mama, quietly, can't you give people a Christian greeting before you start asking about money? Walter, to Ruth, did it come? Ruth unfolds the check and lays it quietly before him, watching him intently with thoughts of her own. Walter sits down and grasps it close and counts off the zeros. $10,000. He turns suddenly, frantically to his mother and draws some papers out of his breast pocket. Mama, look. Old Willie Harris put everything on paper. Basically saying, we have the whole plan for the business. Mama, son, I think you ought to talk to your wife. I'll go on out and leave you alone if you want. Walter, I can talk to her later. Mama, look. Mama, son. Walter, will somebody please listen to me today? This is getting, I find Walter a little bit obnoxious. Like, clearly something's going on. He has no idea. He walks into the room into a private conversation, and he has no idea that something else is happening besides the money. He's just got the one focus, like the tunnel vision going. Mama, quietly. I don't 'low no yellin' in this house, Walter Lee, and you know it. Walter stares at them in frustration and starts to speak several times. And there ain't going to be no investing in no liquor stores. Walter, but, Mama, you ain't even looked at it. Mama, I don't aim to have to speak on that again. A long pause. Walter, you ain't looking at it, and you don't aim to have to speak on that again. You ain't even looked at it, and you have decided. Crumpling his papers. Well, you tell that to my boy tonight when you put him to sleep on the living room couch. Turning to Mama and speaking directly to her. Yeah, and tell it to my wife, Mama. Tomorrow when she has to go out of here to look after somebody else's kids. And tell it to me, Mama, every time we need a new pair of curtains and I have to watch you go out and work in somebody's kitchen. Yeah, you tell me then. Walter starts out. So Walter is upset because he thinks the liquor store is the only chance that they have of making enough money to live on. And he's blaming Mama for not giving him the money to support his family, even though it's Mama's money and it's her choice on what to do with it. And even though none of his other business plans have worked. So he's not really thinking. He doesn't seem to be super rational. And he's ignoring the fact that something's going on with his wife. Ruth, where are you going? Walter, I'm going out. Ruth, where? Walter, just out of this house somewhere. Ruth, getting her coat. I'll come too. Walter, I don't want you to come. Ruth, I got something to talk to you about, Walter. Walter, that's too bad. Mama, still quietly. Walter Lee. She waits and he finally turns and looks at her. Sit down. Walter, I'm a grown man, Mama. Mama, ain't nobody said you wasn't grown, but you still in my house and my presence, and as long as you are, you'll talk to your wife civil. Now sit down. Ruth, suddenly, oh, let him go out and drink himself to death. He makes me sick to my stomach. She flings her coat against him and exits to the bedroom. Walter, violently flinging the coat after her. And you turn mine too, baby. The door slams behind her. That was my biggest mistake. Yeah, and then you turn mine too, like you upset me too, is what he's saying. Mama, still quietly. Walter, what is the matter with you? Walter, matter with me? Ain't nothing the matter with me. Mama, yes there is. Something eating you up like a crazy man. Something more than me not giving you this money. The past few years I've been watching it happen to you. You get all nervous acting and kind of wild in the eyes. Walter jumps up impatiently at her words. I said sit there now, I'm talking to you. Walter, Mama, I don't need no nagging at me today. Mama, seem like you getting to a place where you always tied up in some kind of knot about something, but if anybody asks you about it, you just yell at 'em and bust out the house and go out and drink somewheres. Walter Lee, people can't live with that. Ruth's a good, patient girl in her way, but you getting to be too much. Boy, don't make the mistake of driving that girl away from you. Walter, why? What'd she do for me? Mama, she loves you. Walter, Mama, I'm going out. I want to go off somewhere and be by myself for a while. Mama, I'm sorry about your liquor store, son. It just wasn't the thing for us to do. That's what I want to tell you about. Walter, I gotta go, Mama. He rises. Mama, it's dangerous, son. Walter, what's dangerous? Mama, when a man goes outside his home to look for peace. Walter, beseechingly, then why can't there never be no peace in this house then? And so Mama is implying here that Walter's having an affair with another woman. Yeah, it's dangerous to go outside a home to look for peace. And so Walter goes out drinking and Mama suspects, she thinks that she's also sleeping with another woman. Mama, you done found it in some other house? Walter, no, there ain't no woman. Why do women always think there's a woman somewhere when a man gets restless? Picks up the check. Do you know what this money means to me? Do you know what this money can do for us? Puts it back. Mama, I want so many things. Mama, yes, son. Walter, I want so many things that they are driving me kind of crazy. Mama, look at me. Mama, I'm looking at you. You a good-looking boy. You got a job, a nice wife, a fine boy, and... Walter, a job. Looks at her. Mama, a job? I open and close car doors all day long. I drive a man around in his limousine and I say, "Yes, sir. No, sir. Very good, sir. Shall I take the drive, sir?" And the drive is the street by the lake, or maybe the long way around. "Mama, that ain't no kind of job. That ain't nothing at all." Very quietly. "Mama, I don't know if I can make you understand." "Mama, understand what, baby?" Walter, quietly. "Sometimes it's like I can see the future stretched out in front of me, just plain as day. The future, Mama, hanging out there at the edge of my days, just wanting for me. A big, looming blank space full of nothing, just waiting for me. But it don't have to be." Pause, kneeling beside her chair. "Mama, sometimes when I'm downtown and I pass them cool, quiet-looking restaurants where them white boys are sitting back and talking about things, sitting there turning deals worth millions of dollars, sometimes I see guys don't look much older than me." And yeah, this is again Walter talking about his American dream, how much he wants to make money for his family, and how much he doesn't just want to be driving all these white people around. He feels like he's beholden to them, like he needs them in a way, and also he has to do what he's told. He doesn't have any freedom in his job, and he really doesn't like that. He wants to own his own business, so he has the freedom and he has the power. In his current job as a limousine driver, he just doesn't have any power. He has to do everything he's told. "Mama, son, how come you talk so much about money?" Walter, with immense passion, "Because it is life, Mama." Mama, quietly. "Oh," very quietly. "So now it's life. Money is life. Once upon a time, freedom used to be life. Now it's money. I guess the world really do change." Walter, "No, it was always money, Mama. We just didn't know about it." And this is interesting because Mama's talking about like the slaves being emancipated and given freedom. And so she remembers, or she thinks about that, and she thinks of freedom, and she doesn't think about money, but Walter thinks about money. And in some ways, Walter has a point. As long as Black people don't have as much money as white people, like in general, like people of color live in poorer areas. There's higher rates of illness with people of color and stuff like that, and in different areas. Yeah, there's still not total equality and equity. And like you see that with what's happening in New Orleans right now with the coronavirus and all across the country, where it is affecting people of color much more than white people. And that's partially because people of color may live in poorer areas, have higher rates of illness because they live in poorer areas and may have less ability to see a doctor, may already have higher rates of unemployment and things like that. So money, in some ways, Walter sees it as freedom because it would get them out of poverty. And Mama doesn't quite see that. So it's interesting to look at them, at both their views, because they're both correct. Mama, no, something has changed. She looks at him. You something new, boy. In my time, we was worried about not being lynched and getting to the north if we could, and how to stay alive and still have a pinch of dignity too. So lynched is being hung. So, so being hung, a lot of people were killed because they're Black. And then, and getting north if we could, and how to stay alive. So what Mama's talking about is escaping the South and escaping slavery and getting to the north where slavery was outlawed. Now here come you and Benitha talking about things we ain't never even thought about hardly. Me and your daddy. You ain't satisfied or proud of nothing we done. I mean that you had a home, that we kept you out of trouble till you was grown, that you don't have a ride to work on the back of nobody's streetcar. You, my children, but how different we done become. So you don't have to ride to work on the back of nobody's streetcar. That's like, you have basic freedoms. Mama was in a time where like she had to escape slavery. But Walter and Benitha, they want something more. Benitha wants to be a doctor. Walter wants to own a business. That wasn't even an option for Mama. And so Mama's saying, you don't appreciate what you have right now. And the thing is, in some ways that's true. Like Walter and Benitha don't necessarily appreciate what they have right now, but it's up to, like, every generation improves, and like anyone who's in a marginalized group can see that happening. Like for me as a trans person, I have to think about what's been done before me to allow me to get to the place that I am now. A lot of trans people wouldn't be allowed to teach in schools at all, or I would have been rejected outright from a lot of education jobs because I use they, them pronouns and I want to be called Mix instead of Miss or Mrs. And that isn't as much of an issue right now. It is still an issue. I was applying to other jobs last year, and I had an interview where I was straight up told, well, yeah, you can use they, them pronouns. You can go by Mix if you want, but if the parents come after you, we can't protect you. And so that school was going to take a hands-off approach, which obviously I didn't work at that school. I'm not at that school. I don't want to be at that school. The New America School doesn't do that, and they've been much more open in a lot of ways. But it's still like my job to keep trying to push forward as a trans person in education. I know that was a bit of a rant, but this is just reminding me of that, where like the past generations fight for freedoms, and then the generations after have to continue fighting to try to get to full equality, which I hope someday is possible. At the moment, we're definitely not there yet, though, even though we want to be. There's still a fight, and that's for any marginalized person, anyone who's either on the fringes or not in the mainstream. That's for everyone. There's still a lot of work to do. Okay. Walter, a long beat. He pats her hand and gets up. You just don't understand, Mama. You just don't understand. Mama, son, do you know your wife is expecting another baby? Walter stands stunned and absorbs what his mother has said. So this is news to Walter. That's what she wanted to talk to you about. Walter sinks down into a chair. This ain't for me to be tellin', but you ought to know. She waits. I think Ruth is thinking about getting rid of that child. So Mama's saying that Ruth might be thinking about getting an abortion, which is what I was hinting at earlier. Like, oh, what do you think they're talking about? Okay, Walter, slowly understanding. No, Ruth wouldn't do that. Mama, when the world gets ugly enough, a woman will do anything for her family, the part that's already living. Walter, you don't know Ruth, Mama, if you think she would do that. Ruth opens the bedroom door and stands there, a little limp. Ruth, beaten. Yes, I would too, Walter. Pause. I gave her a $5 down payment. So, yeah, the first $5 of the cost to have the abortion. There's total silence as the man stares at his wife and the mother stares at her son. Mama, presently. Well, tightly. Well, son, I'm waiting to hear you say something. She waits. I'm waiting to hear how you be your father's son. Be the man he was. Pause. The silence shouts. Your wife says she going to destroy your child, and I'm waiting to hear you talk like him and say we a people who give children life, not who destroys them. She rises. I'm waiting to see you stand up and look like your daddy and say we done give up one baby to poverty and that we ain't going to give up nary another one. I'm waiting. Ruth. Walter. Ruth. He can say nothing. Mama. If you a son of mine, tell her. Walter picks up his keys and his coat and walks out. She continues bitterly. You are a disgrace to your father's memory. Somebody get me my hat. Okay, so we end that, and that's the end of Act 1. So we end that. Obviously, this is a different time than now. With abortion and things like that, it's definitely not something that most people agree with. And even, I mean, maybe I couldn't even say that a lot of people don't agree with it now. Yeah, so, and we see like this family really doesn't want Ruth to have an abortion, but Ruth feels she has to have an abortion because they cannot take care of a baby where they are right now. They don't have the money, they don't have the space. Travis is sleeping on the couch. They don't have space for a child. And so Ruth is trying to be realistic. Mama is upset about this whole situation because she wants to support the family with the money. And Walter doesn't even say anything. He just leaves, which is terrible. That is a terrible, terrible reaction to hearing like your wife is pregnant and she wants to get an abortion. What are you going to do? He's like, I'm out. He can't even deal with it. So yeah, we see how difficult this family situation is and the conflict that they're all in with each other and how important that all is to the story and to what's going on. Because their situation just will not allow for a baby. It can't unless something really drastically changes. And so in some ways, the baby is being used as a device, as something that pushes the characters to act faster than they would have normally. And that's what you see in a lot of books and things like that. The author will throw something in there that pushes the story along faster. And this like pregnancy is that thing in this case. Okay, I'm gonna let you all go, and I'll see you later.